Good morning, and welcome to the 74th year of Rhode Island Model Legislature. My name is Louise Oliveira, and I am one of Model Legislature's state coordinators. We know that all of you have worked hard throughout the past school year to research and draft legislation and are looking forward to a productive day of debating and passing bills into Model Legislature law. Sometimes the debates will be long, sometimes it'll be hard to keep track of all of the amendments, but as Robert Kennedy said, democracy is messy and it's hard, it's never easy. But I will add that the debate it entails should always be thoughtful and respectful. Disagree with ideas, but do not be disrespectful to individuals. Your participation in what we consider one of the best programs of hands-on civics education for high school students speaks well of your commitment to the state's and country's future. Thank you for your participation. I would now like to introduce your other state coordinator, Mark Gardner from Charahoe High School, who will introduce our first guest speaker.
Good morning, Rhode Island Model Legislature. My name is Mark Gardner, and I am one of your state coordinators. I'd like to welcome you to our Model Legislature this morning. I know you guys have worked really hard this year, putting together your legislative agendas and the bills that you've written under some very trying circumstances. This is the first time in our program's long history that we have put together a program while under quarantine during a pandemic. And you guys rose to the occasion, have worked really hard. This morning's Model Legislature is a tribute to the effort that the leadership has put into this, and that delegates have also contributed in terms of writing legislation and participating today. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, is Rhode Island Senator Jack Reed. Jack Reed was born in 1949 and raised in Cranston. He grew up on Pontiac Avenue and graduated from LaSalle Academy. In July 1967, he reported to West Point to begin cadet training. After graduating from West Point in 1971, Reed earned a master's degree in public policy from Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government and a JD from Harvard Law School. While working on his education, Reed also served in the 82nd Airborne Division and eventually joined the faculty at West Point, teaching economics and international relations as an associate professor in the Department of Social Studies. Reed was a professor at the U.S. Military Academy until 1979, when he resigned from active duty as a captain, but continued serving in the U.S. Army Reserves until June 1991, when he left the reserves the rank of major. Reed embarked on his political career in 1984, first serving 3 terms in the Rhode Island State Senate, where he focused on housing, children's welfare, and mental health issues. In 1990, he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, where he served until Rhode Island Senator Claiborne Pell announced his retirement in 1996. Reed succeeded Pell as Rhode Island's 46th United States Senator. Today, Reed serves as ranking member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and he is a senior member of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. Senator Reed also helped create the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and his name has consistently been mentioned as a possible U.S. Secretary of Defense. Reed married Senate staffer Julia Hart on April 16, 2005, and the Reeds live in Jamestown with their daughter, Emily. And now I would like to introduce Senator Jack Reed.
Hi, I'm Senator Jack Reed, and I'm proud to address Rhode Island's 74th Model Legislature. I applaud all of the students, mentors, and teachers who have continued this important work, especially during this pandemic. This is the oldest model legislature in the nation, another example of Rhode Island's many contributions to American democracy. Indeed, I was a member of the model legislature when I was in high school, so you know it's the oldest in the country. And you have not allowed the pandemic to prevent you from conducting the people's business. I'd especially like to recognize the work of the state coordinators, Louise Oliveira and Mark Gardner. But I understand one of the real heroes of the day is Nick Barra, former model legislator, current student at Georgetown University, and technical wizard who helped move the model legislature to a digital format. But to everyone involved, Your work for the model legislature is vitally important. As we have seen over the past weeks, we cannot take our democracy for granted. Democracy requires engagement. We must practice and hone the habits of democracy. This is the basis for the unity that President Biden so eloquently spoke of in his inaugural address. As he said, unity in democracy is difficult. It comes with respecting different points of view, agreeing to a shared set of facts, and abiding by a shared set of rules. It means accepting the outcome of an election or a vote in the legislature as legitimate, even when it does not go your way. It means putting the people's business ahead of your own personal or political interest. That is what you are doing as part of the Rhode Island Model Legislature. You are practicing democracy, and it gives me great hope for our future. Have a great legislative session. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Reed. I would now like to introduce our second guest speaker, Rhode Island Secretary of State, Nellie M. Gorbea. Rhode Island Secretary of State Nellie Gorbea made history when she was sworn in on January 6, 2015, becoming the first Hispanic elected to statewide office in New England. A proven leader who is taking on some of the toughest issues and getting results, she was reelected to serve a second term in office on November 8, 2018. As Secretary of State, she has promoted increased civic engagement and government accessibility. In 2017, she worked to pass automated voter registration, making Rhode Island the 9th state in the country to do so. She also improved Rhode Island's elections infrastructure by implementing online voter registration and securing funding for modern voting technologies like electronic poll books. She has positioned the state as a national leader in election cybersecurity. Her work to increase voter engagement, especially among new and young voters, is already seeing results. Rhode Island saw a 64% increase from 2014 to 2018 in the number of voters ages 18 to 20 voting in a general election. And in the 2020 election year, one fraught with all the dangers of the coronavirus, she managed a nearly flawless election in Rhode Island. Understanding the importance of preserving and highlighting Rhode Island's rich and diverse history, Secretary Gorbea has initiated the development of a new state archives to help Rhode Islanders understand and appreciate their state's great history. She has directed her staff to help develop civics and history resources for teachers to use in the classroom, including collections of primary source archival documents, a Rhode Island historical timeline, and infographics about how government works in Rhode Island. These efforts are complemented by experiential learning offerings such as the High School Elections Program, which offers schools the opportunity to hold their student government elections with real ballots and voting machines. Originally from Puerto Rico, Secretary Gorbea is a graduate of Princeton University Woodrow Wilson School for Public and International Affairs and holds a master's degree in public administration from Columbia University. She is married to University of Rhode Island oceanographer Steve DeHunt. They live in North Kingstown with their 3 daughters. It is my pleasure to introduce Secretary Gorbea.
Hi everyone, I'm Nellie Gorbea, your Secretary of State. Normally, I'd be welcoming you to your Rhode Island State House in person for the Model Legislature, but it's still an honor to greet you virtually. Model Legislature has become one of my favorite annual traditions since I came into office, because I get to meet many of our state's future leaders. That's not lip service. Many lawmakers and elected leaders, including Governor Raimondo, were in Model Legislature. We didn't have Model Legislature in Puerto Rico in my high school where I grew up, but I was in Model UN. And as Secretary of State, I'm guided by core values very similar to those in your program, like working with diverse partners to solve problems and seeing things from someone else's point of view. To me, those are 2 of the keys to good leadership and good government. I see that kind of civil discourse in your generation, and it gives me hope. Some of our current politicians could learn some lessons from you. Keep nurturing those relationships and build new ones with people who you don't agree with. That spirit of civic engagement will serve you well, no matter what path you choose in life. There are many more ways than ever for you to start a discussion and make an impact. You can use social media communities on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, or Instagram to communicate about the issues that matter to you. But let me remind you that no matter your stance on any issue, it's important that you listen to one another, because without a dialogue, we move nowhere. The lessons from your time in model legislature about seeing things from someone else's point of view will serve you well in this regard. Now comes the important part. What's next after today? What about next month? Next year? How do you keep this momentum of civic engagement and civil discourse going? Here's an easy place to start. Vote and encourage others in your family and community to do the same. If you don't vote, you won't be taken into consideration when decisions are made about your lives or your future. And your vote matters on all levels of government. The presidential election got all the attention last year. But did you know that we have a special statewide election coming up on March 2nd? There's nearly $500 million of proposals on the ballot. Your vote and your family's vote have so much power on issues that affect you at a local level. In Rhode Island, there have been city council and general assembly races won or lost by a handful of votes. Your generation has so much potential to affect those outcomes. We have a lot of tools at vote.ri.gov in our Voter Information Center that allow eligible Rhode Islanders to register or update their information online. While you're there, take a look at the section that provides information about how elections work in Rhode Island. There are many great tools there that you can use to talk with your family and friends about elections and about how you can make a difference through voting. In Rhode Island, you can pre-register to vote starting at 16. By the way, if you're pre-registered or registered to vote, you can get a job as a poll worker on Election Day. Let me know if you want some more information on that. Another advantage of being pre-registered is that you'll be automatically registered to vote at 18. I want to continue to hear from you as active and engaged leaders, whether you're a Little League coach, head of a neighborhood association, or maybe even running for office. You are the civic leaders that we need at the forefront. Connecting with others will strengthen our communities. I'm counting on you to continue setting a great example for all Rhode Islanders. Have a great session.